Hey guys, Brian here from Better Chess Training, and in this video I'm going to be starting somewhat of a comeback. I've been a little distracted, or a little haven't been able to focus on chess very much the last couple months for a couple reasons, and starting to get back into it. And hopefully we'll become more consistent with putting up the videos and really putting things out there that you really want to see. So in this game I share my thoughts, and it's not a perfect game. I make quite a few mistakes. But I also show some logic behind some of my thoughts. So check it out. Let me know what you thought, and hopefully you'll find it enjoyable. Okay, check it out. Okay, in today's video, I'm going to be playing a game here on the chess.com live play server. And I'm going to try something a little different today. I'm going to play an opening that I've never played before, and I'm going to play, this is kind of like the Accelerated London. I've not really studied this opening. I've played against it, and the reason I'm doing this is partly to try something a little different, and also to kind of show you maybe the thought process you can do when you are playing a new opening. Now, the idea here is that you can play, and then you'll look up the opening later. You know, you can look up some master games, or if you have a book, you can check it out. Okay, and for a lot of times, this is a way you're going to learn an opening, because it's a new. I guess we can't always be fully prepared when we're playing openings, and so let's take a look here. You have to try. Sometimes you just have to try some things new. Okay, here. A couple things I could do. I could play something like e3 and sort of put myself in this pin, or I could play knight b to d2. I'm going to play e3 because what I want to do is free this bishop and then castle over. Now, this particular system is different than what I play a lot of the time, which is the Kali, and that the dark square bishop is already free here. And so this gives a little more control here on e5. And could have some similar themes here. I can play maybe c4 right away. Again, I haven't studied specific theory here, so I'm just kind of looking at the board and seeing what's happened here. Now, what I want to do here is cover this e4 square, so I'm going to play bishop to d3, and then I'm going to try to castle probably. Here with what he's got set up, it looks like he could be playing something like queen to b6, and instead he's playing queen to c7. So let's see why. I'm not quite sure why he's doing that. I think castling seems to be a logical move at this point. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to change up my opening repertoire, but I did want to, I've been working with some beginners at the end of the school year, and I wanted to give some examples of how you can play when you don't know opening theory. You just have to play chess using what you know. Okay, so here, what this is telling me is maybe looking to castle queenside, maybe looking to play e5, maybe looking to play c5 maybe. And the main thing here is he's not really challenging me playing e4. So this in and of itself might be a good move. Another idea I have here is to play something like c4 with the idea of c5, because this pawn is pinned right now. And actually that looks okay as well. What this also does is it covers this d5 square. So this knight can't hop onto d5 and threaten my bishop. So the nice thing about this system is that the development of the pieces is pretty straightforward. And so far I think I have a pretty good game. So just for more of the beginners, remember in the opening we are trying to develop these pieces from the back row. As you saw from my last video, really want to get our army out before we try anything too aggressive in terms of moving pieces past the mid line here. Not saying that that's a mistake necessarily, but in general, it's a good policy to try to develop the pieces from the back row before you develop a more aggressive assault. Okay, my opponent is here. Now, I am a little rusty, so you notice I have not played as much recently, trying to get back into playing more consistently. And here we are with this e5 capture here. Now, what I need to consider is that is that this knight is actually pinned right now, so I cannot use it in any of the maneuvers that are coming up next. And so I may have made a mistake here, but let's see. So if I take here with the d pawn, he takes d pawn, he takes back. The problem now is that after well, it's not really a problem yet. I do have a move here. Okay, I was worried that he'd be able to push on, but this pawn will actually, that when it comes over here, will actually be pinned. So I can take, and then when he takes back, I can actually just move my bishop here. And then this pawn will be pinned. He cannot push it this way. Okay? So right now he cannot move this pawn, and it'll give me a move to counter, counter it. And maybe he didn't see that, or he just wanted to break here in the middle. So what I could actually do is maybe play e4 next. It does kind of blunt this bishop, but it's important for me to prevent this pin. Okay, by moving the bishop here, now this pawn is no longer pinned. And now I need to deal with my pin here. And I think the easiest way might be just to, well, there's a couple things I can do. I can actually move my queen, but that's also inviting him to, that's potentially inviting him to take here. Or the other thing I can do is actually move my bishop here to e2, so that there's no longer a fork threat and no longer a pin threat. So potential moves here are bishop to e2. I think I like that a little better than e4, although he does gain some space here with that move. So e4 is an option. Actually, you know what? e4 does look decent because, let's see, if I go e4, he might try something like knight to c5, and then knight to c5. There'll be two attackers here, and I can add another defender, I suppose, but he'll also be threatening his bishop. So I actually do like moving this bishop better to e2. So just to clarify, I moved this to e2 instead of pressing e4, because after e4, he plays knight to c5. He's attacking this bishop, and even though I can protect again, say with something like queen to c2, which will add a second defender to e4, he can take my bishop, and now he's got the two bishops, which maybe isn't a big deal here, but then he could also take on f3 in something like that, and then cause some troubles there as well. So, and then if I played queen to e2, so after e4, knight to c5, bishop to knight to c5, queen to e2. Similarly, it could be problematic. Probably not a horrible thing, but okay. So here it's castling queenside. So I do have a little time. So this rook is lined up on my queen. Is something to always be concerned about. But maybe I have time to develop my knight first and then move it, because he has two pieces in the way. Okay, I'm going to develop this knight because at some point I do want to. Well, let's see here. Another move would be queen to a4 that I'm considering. Queen to a4. No, you know what? Queen to a4 with the idea of b4 next and then pushing this way. But I need to get this knight out first. The other advantage I want to cover this square here. You can still play e4, and I'm actually okay with that because right now this bishop would be hanging. Although I guess... okay, so this knight gets moved, and now queen to c2 makes a lot of sense covering this e4 square again. I can play b4 as well at some point, so that would be a good idea. But the main thing here is to get this queen out of the way. So now with this king over here, what I want to do is push these pawns up on the queen side and start to put some pressure on him. I have the rook in a nice position here. I could bring this other rook over depending as well. Okay, now why did he play... Not quite sure why he played this move. Because this can be a little problematic for him, because I can actually bring my bishop over here and annoy him that way. But I actually think maybe just go ahead and playing b4 might be more direct, because he could just move his bishop over. His idea might be to play something like h5. So this actually I don't think is a great move. Not quite sure why he made it. The only thing I'm thinking is that maybe he's thinking of playing something like bishop to f5. So that's actually maybe something... Just want to make sure I can respond to that. Bishop to f5. So what if I should play e4 first? e4 might be nice too, because now it eliminates the chance of him playing e4 himself. So I think that's a good idea. Now, if I had more time, I would make sure I'm calculating all of these right. So the idea behind, I think, this g6 was to play bishop to f5, attacking my queen. But here, I think this is good, because now I'm following up here with, if I can, with b4, and then b5. So I have an attack that's going to be coming up. Okay, now some more odd play here. Not quite sure what the idea is behind this also. Maybe preventing this knight move here, although that's not something I was really considering. Okay, so my main consideration here is to play b4 right away. And then from there, we have a few options, depending on where he puts this knight. Okay, if I play b4, the most logical move would be to play this move here, knight to d7. And then from here, I can either go b5, or maybe even something like c5. So either way, I think it's pretty good. So b4, so something like knight to a6 wouldn't be that great, because then I could play b5 right away and start to break in here, I think. And then if he tries, I do have to be careful, he does play knight to a6. I could prepare even with something like a3 just to make sure that everything's secure here, and then even play c5. In any case, I think this is a good move. So just to, going back to our original theme, okay, so we have the knight here, and here we have an interesting option, because he has two defenders on this pawn. I can actually drive one defender away and then take with the bishop, or with the knight, actually. And then that could be quite, pretty devastating, maybe attacking his queen. I'd probably take with the bishop, attacking his queen. The other option would be to play b5, but actually like this one because I pretty much am winning a pawn. Let me see, c5, and then let's say he goes bishop to e7. I could even go knight takes e5 and then trade these bishops. And then after taking back, I've still won a pawn, and I'm also now threatening something like a discovery with this bishop on this queen. So that can be quite troubling there. But I think c5 is the way to go. So let's go ahead and try that. So getting back to my original theme while I'm waiting for him to make his move is, again, I haven't studied too many of these games, but when you learn strategy and you learn how to look at the pawn structure, then you can start to develop these strategies. Like in this game, and again, it's fairly simple, but with the kings on the opposite side, that often calls for an attack on the wing here with the pawns, okay? And we can do that because the center is fairly locked up here and fairly fluid. And what that's caused is he's made a little tactical blunder, I think, where he's going to lose a pawn. So after he retreats his bishop, then I'm going to win a pawn. And what I have to do is just decide what the best way is. His best play is probably to play bishop to e7. And actually, it's just not, yeah, it's not looking too good for him. If he plays bishop to e7, I think knight takes e5 and then trade these bishops is actually fine because I don't lose any time, I don't think, doing that. The only thing there is, as I'm seeing this, is that he does have this knight move here to d4. But I don't think, I could still take with the bishop first. And then this is still covered. He's going to take here first. Interesting. Okay. Well, what that does is it avoids... So he has a problem here. If I take back with the bishop, he could just retreat his bishop. But if I take with the... I see. If I take with the pawn first, then he has to do something with his queen. Now, if he goes here with his knight to d4, so let's say I go c takes d6, and he goes knight to d4, then if I move my queen out of the way, well, this is covered, okay? So he could take here with check. I just take back, and so this is something I have to calculate here. C takes d6, knight to d4, queen to b2, so I can keep covering here on e2. Then knight takes e2 check, knight takes e2, and then he has to deal with the queen, and then I take the bishop. So that would leave me with two pieces. So I think I win a piece there. Okay, so normally I double check the analysis, but I'm running low on time. So I'm just going to go ahead and play that move. So it looks like I'm winning a piece here. And even though I'm a little rusty, it's good to see I have some calculation. I have been playing a few games where I have played a couple games recently where I've lost on simple tactics themselves. And maybe I'll have to show those to you, but wasn't my proudest moment. Okay, so here I'm just taking back, and I'm just going to take back here with the bishop. And now I'm up a piece, and a piece for a pawn. So he's going to win a second pawn here. Well, this is interesting. He's going to attack my bishop here with his knight. And what I think I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move my queen out of the way. And then if he wants to take this, that's fine. Kind of messes up my pawn structure a little, but my material advantage is quite good. Okay. Moves his queen out of the way. So he's got a good, and he's got a nice knight here. And at some point, maybe we can do something about it. So what should we do next? I think I should continue to pursue my aggression here on the queen side, because he's still fairly open here. There are no like checkmate threats. He might try coming in here for some reason, but we're going to continue with this policy of trying to break open the queen side here. Okay, he's going to take here. I'm going to take back, and hopefully I didn't miss anything. And now he's going to start with this aggression right here. Now, a couple ways I can handle this. I can just go ahead and stop it with h4. So basically, kind of locks this guy out of play. Not the greatest. What I can even do, another thing I can do is actually just move this knight over. Well, I can't do it yet. Start to put some pressure here. But actually, he's threatening h4, so that's what I have to deal with. And actually what I can do is just play, there's no reason I have to keep this bishop here, so I can just go ahead and, well, if I play here, so he does have a little bit of an initiative I need to be a little careful of. In that he's starting to play h4. So if I play bishop to h4, well, actually I don't have to worry about it too much, because I was thinking you could play queen h3, but his knight's threatened. So this damage to my pawn structure is, it can be a little annoying. So here if I play this, of course, I'm going to get into a little trouble. But I'm wondering if I just give it back maybe at this point. So that's something I didn't really think about. I can get this pawn, but then he pins me here. Okay, so I think, so this isn't the, probably not the best way to handle it. I want to keep these pawns here, because he does have a few pieces here that are a little bit annoying. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm thinking I'm going to allow him to take here, and instead I'm going to continue pushing here. And if I had more time, I'd probably make sure about my plan, but right now, at least, I have a very safe king with these pawns here. This knight's going to have a hard time getting in. And in the meantime, so material is even at the moment, but now I actually think my initiative on the king side, or on the queen side, might pay off. Okay, trying to keep the position locked here, which is probably a good idea. Does open up this square, so what I'm going to do is actually shift this rook over here, try to take over the d file. So the game has shifted a little. You can see my rustiness a little. Almost walked into a blunder, so I had to take a moment to clarify that. Trying to think of the best way to move forward here. I don't want to push this pawn up just to get things locked up, although now that might not be such a bad idea. Well, I think I will take a move to do this. So what I'm saying is that if I push this pawn up to b6, he can lock it up with a6, but then he's got a lot of squares that are denied to him. Okay, looks like he's going to try to double up here. that's... Is that okay? Do I want to take it right away? I think I'm going to attack this pawn instead. Okay. Oh, of course I just blundered away my knight. So let's see if he sees that. This is me not paying attention. Okay, so my opponent made a mistake and didn't notice that my knight was on pre. Okay, a little embarrassing, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay, let's take it off right there. Okay. Probably will not give me the opportunity to do that again, but let's... all right, let's attack. Oh, now I'm under check here. Okay. Well, now the reason I'm pushing this now is that I want to clear this square for my knight. Now at this point, the game is pretty even, although maybe he's got a little bit of an advantage in the end game here. And I'm going to try to do my best and play quickly here, but we do need to be, we do need to be careful here. So these advanced pawns can be helpful for me. He does have this passed pawn, so I definitely want to be careful with whatever I do here. Trading off rooks actually I think would be good for me because I can create a passed pawn on the outside here. Okay, so now he's looking to maybe push the passed pawn. And here I'm going to blockade this pawn here. And then I'm going to, so I'm attacking this pawn. You can move this knight back to protect it. Probably not going to win this pawn. That's not the goal at the moment. But I could bring my rook over here to the open file, which will be helpful. In my mind, it popped into my head that maybe I'm not going to show this video, but I think it's important to show my mistakes as well. And everyone is human here. And as I mentioned before, I'm a little rusty. But actually, now that he made a big mistake, I think I'm okay. So here, the question is, should I take this guy? And I actually think I'm going to take a move to position my king a little better and just let him capture me if he wants to. The whole idea here is that my knight can easily hop back here into a good position, whereas if I let his king take a move, then that isn't so great either. And here now, should I create the passed pawn now or bring my knight up to continue the pressure? That's a good question. I think I'm going to create the passed pawn now because then he has to worry about that. And the idea behind that is that that passed pawn is going to create a threat, and so he can't totally commit his forces to the other side of the board right now. So right now, this is the pawn on a5 is a weakness, and what I want. So my general plan is to use this as a decoy, bring my king around to attack his pawns. Okay, he's bringing his king over, and I'm going to bring my king over. So my knight is going to go here if he tries to come that way. And this pawn, my knight's going to be able to move a lot faster than his king to try to threaten my pawn. Okay, so here, I'm going to bring my king around. And then I'm thinking, bringing my knight up this way. So, okay. Now the question is, yeah, I'm going to bring my knight up. Let's see. I'll bring my knight in this way. And then my thought is maybe sacrificing here with f4 to bring my knight in, and then really try to push this pawn up, which will draw him over. What he'd love to do here is try to get in at this pawn, but he can't really commit his king. Oh, he's going to bring his knight over. Okay. So that freezes this pawn for now. And here, the idea here is to... Well, that's interesting. That's actually good for me. I'm going to take here with check. And then I'm going to bring this knight in this way. Now I'm going to get in here. Now he can get one check in, which I am aware of, but that's about it. You can't win this pawn yet because this knight is covered. So I think I've won this game. Kind of, not such a great game here. So I'm going to back up here. He can't check me again. And so now, if he wants, I'm not sure quite what he's going to do. He's going to lose this pawn. He can't get to it. But if he makes the wrong move, what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to sacrifice the... Well, I probably shouldn't be too fancy here. I could sacrifice the knight here on e6 and then force it in that way. So this was a game, I think I had the advantage in the opening. I think I had a very good opening. And then I obviously won a piece for a pawn. And then I ended up losing a piece, or giving back the piece for a pawn. And then I ended up blundering my knight, but he didn't see it. So actually, this game goes back and forth. And like I said, lately, I've been making little mistakes like that. But part of playing chess is the competitive aspect and being able to not give up and try to do your best and try to be resilient. Now, if you're playing against grandmasters or masters who will punish and not allow you to, aren't going to miss the hanging knights, then that's one thing. But many of you aren't going to be playing those people yet, so that's fine. Okay, here he's attacking me here, and that's okay because I'm going to go ahead and put a little pressure here. Now he really has to commit to stopping me. Unfortunately, not quite sure what his idea here was. Obviously, I think I'm much more alert now. I see, he's going to try to protect this pawn here. Problem here is he really needs to stop this pawn. So I'm just going to keep pushing it, because he has to commit to stopping it with either his king or his knight. And either way, that should allow me to win a pawn over here. Okay, he's bringing his king over that way, and so I'm going to let this pawn go. I'm going to abandon the pawn, and I'm just going to take this. Well, I can take this pawn or attack this pawn, but what I'm going to do is just take this pawn because this one can go and promote. This one's not going anywhere. Okay, and here, that's okay as well, because what I'm going to do, well, let me check here. Yeah, I'm going to let him take this one, and then he can sacrifice. Well, the thing I have to be careful about now is not getting all of my pawns sacrificed now. Because if he takes here, he's threatening this fork. So what I'm going to do is bring my king over. Okay, he's going to bring his king that way. And, that's interesting. So I'm going to advance this. And so that's going to freeze this knight. I'm not going to let him take this, because if he takes it, I'm going to promote. So what I thought was to take this pawn, but then he gets to take this pawn and then cover. So now he can't, no, he's stuck there for now. So now I can just bring my king over and this pawn. And then I can win this pawn. Oh, actually, again, I'm leaving my knight hanging. Probably not such a great idea. That was kind of an oversight as well. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move in and promote it should be fine. Now I'm playing a little too quickly. So, not the best game, but... So the idea here is that he cannot stop both pawns. You can sacrifice for one pawn, but not both. So I'm going to promote, and that should be it. This is a lot tougher than it should have been, but sometimes that's what happens. And I think we can't worry about that. Not all of our games are going to be... okay, and he resigns. So, not bad. Again, a little rusty. That's probably the third game I've played over the span of 2 months. And was a little bit rusty. Obviously, I hung a couple pieces there. Not a great idea, so you always have to take the time and make sure that you're not dropping anything. But otherwise... I'm glad to pull away with a win, and I hope you enjoyed some of the thought process behind that despite my mistakes. So enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. As you saw, I did make a few mistakes in the game, and you can even see from my commentary that those were moves that I didn't really think about very much. Didn't really think about principal variation and do the calculations. Part of that's rust, and that's part of it is that that habit of doing a proper thought process is something that you develop over time, and that's one of the things that if you don't do for a while, it goes away. But you can see that I was still able to analyze the game from time to time and was able to come away with a victory. And at first I hesitated to show this video, but I really think it's important to be both honest with where we are with our play, but also show you the fighting spirit. When you do make mistakes, the key is to keep fighting. Obviously, if you're down a lot of material or you're playing against like a master, as I mentioned in the video, maybe not so much. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed it. Over here in the corner, I have some videos on tips, how to study and things like that. So this was a playing video, and I also have some other videos on ways to train in chess. So check those out.